Hello and welcome everyone to Mid-America Regional Council's 2021 Regional Assembly and Regional Leadership Awards. I am Harold Johnson.
And I'm David Warm.
And we're coming to you today from Mid-America Regional Council's lobby. I hope you recognize this space. Normally it's booked with back-to-back meetings of people coming together from across the region to work on issues that are critical to our community.
And we've certainly missed seeing everyone here. It would have been great to gather in person, but we felt it was still a little bit too early to do it safely. We certainly look forward to seeing you as soon as we can continue to reopen our offices.
And I'm so glad that you're joining us today to celebrate the strides our region has made amid major challenges. Last year tested us all, but it also demonstrated the power of working together. 2020 underscored that the work that you do through Mid-America Regional Council is important and impressive. The progress that we made as a region speaks to your leadership, your dedication, and your commitment to working together.
Today's program will highlight some of the important work you've achieved across 7 ambitious goals. You will recognize many of the leaders who will help us share these incredible stories.
We will celebrate our 4 Regional Leadership Award recipients and their outstanding contributions. These awards honor individuals and organizations that demonstrate excellence in regional cooperation and coordination.
And we'll look back at the work of our public health departments with a special recognition for how they stepped up to critical leadership over the past 15 months.
And we're excited to share a new feature of the Regional Assembly, something you won't want to miss. Coming up, we're pleased to present 2 original art pieces by local artists that celebrate the spirit of Kansas City and the opportunity we have in this moment to come together, to work together, to advance the entire region. So we hope that you walk away feeling renewed, inspired, and excited by the important work happening across the region. That's the way I feel every time I come downtown and walk through the doors of Mid-America Regional Council. And as an elected official, Mark gives me the opportunity to connect with my counterparts from across the region. It gives my organization the chance to work across city lines, across county lines, and I'm proud to be a part of Mid-America Regional Council.
Harold, I think that the spirit of Kansas City was evident all across this region as we worked together to respond to the COVID-19 pandemic. As just one example, Mark was honored to join forces with the Greater Kansas City Community Foundation, the United Way of Greater Kansas City, and LISC Greater Kansas City to establish the Kansas City Regional COVID-19 Response and Recovery Fund. Thanks to generous donations from foundations, corporations, residents, and neighbors, the fund to date has provided more than $18 million in grants to nearly 300 nonprofit organizations throughout the region who are on the front lines of addressing critical human service needs. Everything from keeping people in their homes with food on the table to bringing digital access to students to supporting public health care throughout the pandemic. This fund has been a huge affirmation of the character of this community. This town has always been generous, and it's often collaborated on big ideas, but the fund is unprecedented in its scale and in its scope, in the speed at which funds were raised and thoughtfully dispersed, in the range of organizations involved, and in the inclusion of community voices in decision-making. By working together, collaboratively and inclusively, this region produced outcomes that simply would not have been possible otherwise.
And that's just the beginning. Local governments and countless community partners across our region worked together through Mid-America Regional Council to more effectively address the many challenges that arose from the pandemic. Let's look back at the highlights of the region's response to this unprecedented event.
The COVID-19 pandemic disrupted our personal lives, our schools, our jobs, and our businesses. Yet the work of the region could not and did not stop. Local governments, public health agencies, hospitals, schools, emergency response agencies work through MARC committees to support a collective response. The region formed a COVID-19 multi-agency coordination group to expand the capacity of the Regional Healthcare Coalition. This group developed a regional common operating picture, identified needs, coordinated actions, and provided resource support. We developed a regional data hub, expanded testing and contact tracing capacity, and executed cooperative purchasing contracts. We also identified resources to help vulnerable populations. This work provided data and information for school districts, businesses to help guide their decisions through this pandemic. Public health communicators across the region work together to develop critical messaging to support disease mitigation and response. We also published a guide for businesses and organizations to use to help them safely navigate reopening. PrepareMetroKC.org continues to serve as a central information hub, offering the latest information on the virus, ways to stay safe, how to get tested, and where to find a vaccine site. Effective monitoring and a coordinated response, even as the pandemic subsides, will continue to be a top regional priority.
Two of the key players in the region's COVID-19 response are the recipients of our first Regional Leadership Award. Steve Arbo and Bill Ebel have been working for years to ensure our communities are safe, and they jumped in to lead as the pandemic began to impact our region.
There's an old expression that you have to be ready so that you don't have to get ready. And I think that that is what Bill and Steve do. They help us to be ready.
Steve and Bill lead the Regional Homeland Security Coordinating Committee effort, which is really a way to bring together leaders from the various emergency services programs in our area and jurisdictions in our area to come together to look at strategies where we have the opportunity to cooperate, to prevent, protect, mitigate, respond, and recover from the threats and hazards the region faces.
Strategic, applying the tactics to it, self-sacrifice, putting other people before themselves.
We know they're real busy back home, but yet they commit the time to do committee leadership roles that otherwise would go kind of unnoticed, and helping lead and collaborate those groups is essential to the success of the organization.
Bill's service in the military, I think, was a terrific training ground for his leadership skills, and he used those skills that he had gained in the military at the city level, engaging employees, working with employees, providing opportunities to demonstrate their leadership skills.
I've worked with Steve for a number of years as city manager in Lee Summit. He has always been one that, lives by his values and then shares a common vision of working together for the greater good of the community.
They want to see the results. They have what I call as a stewardship attitude. Not just what we're going to do now, not just for the next election, but what's the next 30 years? What's the next generation going to be for the cities and where they're working?
And it's that forward-looking perspective that has really propelled us forward and positioned us to be stronger for where we found ourselves in 2020.
This pandemic is serious business, and you need the right people to be able to facilitate that. I just thought both Bill and Steve just did a tremendous job in directing and moderating and refereeing, or any other adjectives that I can think of, but do it in a very professional way without offending anybody. And that's a difficult road to toe.
When The multi-agency coordination group was being formed, and recognizing that that we needed to identify leaders to champion that group. Bill and Steve were the natural first choices, and I can't say enough about what leaders they have shown themselves to be during this incident.
For those two, it's bigger than their city. It's bigger than them, bigger than their city. They're serving the region, if not the state, in terms of the capacity they do. And those are tremendous assets to bring forward, is to look at, you know, regional projects and things that improve the region as a whole. Looking past what is just good for Overland Park or what does Lee Summit need, but looking at the greater good is tremendous.
Well, I would just say thank you to both of them for the leadership, the understanding, the patience. They provided that leadership before the pandemic, but since the pandemic, I think it has risen to a new level as far as the type of support and leadership that they have shared with the region. And without that leadership, we would have had some challenges to be able to move forward.
I think it's that we truly do both care. That's really the core value that I think we share together that's made us successful, is we really care about the issues and about how we can help the Kansas City area be a better place for everybody.
When you tell us that we're receiving an award for the work, for me, I feel like the work was done by the people that were there. I'm amazed, and I think that's probably what challenges me more than anything else, is seeing the energy and the passion of these people that we work with, that bring their very best to us at every meeting, and it's just been an amazing experience for me, that I've never had anything like this before.
That's really what this award is. We just happen to be put in the right place at the right time, or maybe the wrong place at the wrong time, to be the co-chairs of this committee. But you know, in my heart, this is really a tribute to all the men and women and agencies that have worked over the last 20 years in this particular area to make Kansas City protected and safe should an event happen. And I think this award says, hey, we've done this right, and what we need to do is continue to do the things and get better. That's what I think this award is about.
And we couldn't reflect on last year without acknowledging the important work of our public health officials.
Hello, I'm David Alvey, Mayor of the Unified Government of Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas.
And I'm Quentin Lucas, Mayor of Kansas City, Missouri. We are honored to be with you today to share a special recognition for a group of folks in our region who went above and beyond their call of duty this past year.
Ensuring the safety and security of the public's health is of the utmost importance to city and county governments. And for that, we rely on our public health departments. Public health works every day to strengthen communities by preventing illness and improving health.
They use science-based interventions to serve entire populations, but with a focus on those most vulnerable. From food safety to immunizations, disease surveillance, maternal and child health to injury and violence prevention, our local public health departments address core public health needs and the root causes of diseases.
You know, the last 16 months have been unprecedented and quite frankly difficult for all of us in Kansas City. And when the pandemic hit in our community, we needed to look to those that we could trust to give us the science-based information that we needed in that time. And over time, and that really has been our public health leaders throughout this region. And I can say from a business community standpoint, it was so critically important for our 2,000 plus members for us to be able to provide that kind of trusted information that public health could give to us to share with our business members to help keep us safe during the course of the pandemic and even through to today, and making sure that we can recover and be healthy again. Public health really rose to this occasion in an unbelievably extraordinary way.
We are fortunate that the public health departments in the Kansas City area have a long history of cooperation. The Metropolitan Official Health Agencies of the Kansas City area, commonly known as MOHACA, and the Regional Homeland Security Coordinating Committee's Public Health Subcommittee have been meeting regularly for years.
By collaborating and planning at the regional level, these agencies increase their effectiveness and become stronger together. And this coordination is especially important in our bi-state region, as many people may live in Missouri and see a doctor in Kansas, or vice versa. This makes regional cooperation a necessity to protect public health.
Regional partnerships are key in fighting a pandemic because COVID-19 does not know boundaries, does not know political boundaries, and so we were often consulting our regional partners. Mid-America Regional Council played a crucial role in bringing us together. We have a variety of groups, whether it's communication folks or public health folks or managers or elected officials that Mark helps bring together regionally. That's crucial in a pandemic, because if you're on one side of a county line or one side of a state line and you have a different set of rules and expectations for your community, it becomes confusing. We weren't always able to match up. We tried where we could, but we at least had the communication to understand the implications.
This foundation is built on years of hard work and collaboration, and it has never proved more important than in the face of the COVID-19 pandemic. Despite years of declining revenues, our public health department stepped up in a big way and are leading us through this critically important response to a major disaster. Their recommendations about protective actions and business and school closings, which we know were never taken lightly, were based on research and data. Public health recommendations were always made in the interest of protecting the residents in the region.
Well, they're definitely heroes to take on the challenge. I was more impressed with how the health directors navigated through the politics of this whole pandemic and continued to do their job and held on to their professionalism and didn't compromise. And I really think that is what impressed me most, is that I say, what are you seeing? What do you think? Which way should we go? Let them lead you. And I thought that was the best way to do it.
They took swift and decisive action to mobilize testing and contact tracing and vaccination events. And they continue to do an outstanding job communicating with elected officials, business leaders, and the general public about why certain actions continue to be necessary to keep us all safe.
I think it's so important as we begin to see what we hope could be, just maybe, the end of the pandemic, or at least the end of the restrictions and hopefully the pain and suffering we've known so much over the last year and a year and a half. I think what we have to remember is that it's not over yet. We use this example sometimes when we talk about it at KU. Don't fumble the ball at the goal line. You're just about there. So don't forget to follow those rules of infection control, because they still keep you safe wherever you go. They travel with you wherever you go. And that's how we can help us make sure we end this pandemic. And your public health officials, you know what? They talk about this all the time. So we still have to work hard to keep each other safe. We can do that by taking care of each other. That's how we're going to bring in the end of the pandemic. And that's how we don't fumble the ball at the goal line. Let's score this touchdown. Let's win the game.
As you've heard, our 11 public health departments played a crucial role in their response to this pandemic. They are working around the clock, keeping departments focused on stopping the spread of disease while also keeping up with ongoing responsibilities. And they've stayed focused on their work at the local level while also coordinating at a regional level. There is no doubt that their dedication and hard work helped save many lives, perhaps including our own.
To the directors, staff, and volunteers from public health departments across the region serving our communities, we thank you. Today, we want to recognize your service and say we appreciate your ongoing commitment to the health and well-being of our communities.
Public safety remains at the center of what we do at MARC and what we do together as a region. Let's hear more about our work to create safe and secure communities.
The region continues to work together to build safe and secure communities. By offering high-quality trainings and multidisciplinary exercises, Mark helps cities and counties prepare for, respond to, and recover from a wide range of threats. Whether it's a complex coordinated attack, a pandemic like COVID-19, or a weather-related disaster, we help local governments build relationships before an incident happens. During an emergency, we activate response plans to address the specific challenges facing the region. We also regularly update plans based on lessons learned and quickly adapt response efforts to the needs of the moment. We continue to expand the region's 911 emergency communication system. This past year, we added Atchison County to the regional system. We implemented new safety measures to better protect the system from cyber attacks. We upgraded and installed equipment at several public safety answering points, and we're preparing the system for Next Generation 911, a digital system that will be more flexible and able to receive and store photos and video. A national model, our peer support program, helps commanders and 911 professionals in the region cope with job-related stress. And our public safety training program now offers online training courses to over 600 dispatchers. The events of this past year have underscored the importance of regional cooperation in creating safe and secure communities for our residents.
We are honored to showcase two amazing local artists today. Their work acknowledges the challenges of the past while looking toward a bright future.
First, we are excited to feature an incredible singer who many of you may already know. She performs regularly throughout the Kansas City area as a solo performer and as a vocalist with the groups Hilux and The Buzz. With her original song, A New Way, please welcome Julia Hale, accompanied by Tim Braun on guitar.
Hi, my name is Julia Hale, and together with guitarist Tim Braun, we wrote the song A New Way for the Kansas City region.
I know one thing's for sure, you've got to start where you are, and every step of the way, I'll be there to help you along. Think of what we could do when we reach for the stars, when the weight of the world gets heavy, together we stay strong, and we found a new way to connect from afar. We found a new way to grow with the changing seasons. It all starts today. We found a new way to build on a dream, to build on a dream. Got to make the right moves. There's a lot on the line, and every step of the way, I'll be there to help you along. Can't wait for time to tell the story. We're all part of the plan, more than holding on to hope. It's working hand in hand, and we found a new way to connect from afar. We found a new way, to grow with the changing seasons. It all starts today. We found a new way to build on a dream, to build on a dream. Oh, we found a new way to build on a dream.
Wow. Thank you, Julia and Tim, for that performance. I love the lyric, more than holding on to hope, it's working hand in hand. That really captures the work we do together as a regional community. And it's also a great lead into our next segment focused on our cooperative efforts to foster inclusive economic prosperity.
We are committed to building a globally competitive economy that offers broad, inclusive opportunities to all Metro residents. Working with partners, March supports workforce development initiatives that help individuals grow their skills, get better pay, and be more prosperous in the workplace. We also partner with KC Rising, a business-led initiative to advance prosperity for everyone by aligning and accelerating community efforts for greatest impact. This past year, we helped KC Rising develop new metrics and benchmarks while also forecasting the pandemic's impact. And we are organizing new efforts to align strategies to expand digital access and attainable housing. An educated workforce attracts new businesses and grows the regional economy. To support this, KC Degrees helps adults return to college and offers continuing services through graduation. In the 10th Annual Workforce and Education Summit highlighted strategies we can take to create an ecosystem where all learners excel. Looking ahead, we'll join forces with multiple partners to help Wyandotte County residents obtain job training and help small businesses stabilize and grow their operations. These efforts will help the economy rebound in ways that support all of our residents.
Small businesses are the heart of our region's economy. Our next Regional Leadership Award recipient stepped up when businesses and entrepreneurs were facing big challenges. By supporting small businesses that are often left out of mainstream funding sources, AltCap stepped in and helped ensure a more inclusive, vibrant local economy.
Yeah, so AltCap is a community development financial institution, or CDFI, and really our mission is to bring capital and resources to communities and businesses that are kind of underserved or overlooked by mainstream finance.
In Kansas City, and this is actually true all over the nation, small business really is the driver of jobs. And it is also the thing that makes up the fabric of our community. It is what is unique to this. It's why people like to live here.
It's easy, I think, to imagine that small businesses are really small employers, they're mom and pop shops, maybe they're not as economically important. But what we know about small businesses in Kansas City is that they created 14,000 jobs last year in Kansas City. That makes them among our region's biggest employers.
Yeah, so AltCap is an alternative way, as their name suggests, alternative capital to reach underserved communities where you have small businesses that typically don't qualify for traditional type financing.
So AltCap is unique in that, it's one of about around 1,000 community development financial institutions in the U.S., but they're also unique in that they're one of the few that are minority run and led. And their approach is to help those businesses also with assistance. That sometimes there's sort of financial reports or things that have to be put together. They offer that technical assistance and support in addition to the loan.
You don't necessarily need $100,000 or $500,000 to start a business or to invest in a piece of equipment. $50,000 might be enough. And there are very few places small businesses in Kansas City can get that access to capital. AltCap is one of them, and for that reason, they're critically important in our community.
Yeah, I think where we are now, this is a great example of what it means for a CDFI to bring capital to a community or to a business, and a business specifically like TJ's with Integrity Capital that's investing in communities, rehabbing homes.
Banks traditionally, that's I guess what they call alternative capital. Banks traditionally will not, I couldn't take this property into a bank. The only way we're gonna be able to revitalize these communities is that if you have willing parties to take a risk and trust the process and work it through. So this is what really makes people move and grind and work, because this is one less house somebody can be taken advantage of. A kid can now walk down the street. It's not gonna have squatters and not these things. Think about the neighbors. So if AllCap can keep getting the support to help fund people like me, I think it'd be a whole lot better. But without AllCap, this cannot happen.
So March 2020, there were stay-at-home orders, and those stay-at-home orders really had the biggest effect on small businesses, the businesses that we often frequent, like restaurants and local stores. So if you were a small business that had been really operating mostly with the cash that you earned through revenue, then how did you get through a time when your revenue literally disappeared overnight? And it was AllCap that stepped in.
When I think about Kansas City's experience over the last year, one of the things I'm most proud of is the fact that because of AllCap's work on the Kansas City COVID-19 Relief and Recovery Fund, we were able to get funds into the hands of entrepreneurs of color and other entrepreneurs who systemically lack access to capital faster than PPP was in the market.
So that they could keep their doors open, and frankly, so that Kansas City could retain the fabric of our community, the places we like to go when we can get out of the house.
The team at AllCap, their vision and creativity has made such a transformative change in our city over the course of the last 18 months. And it's not just Ruben, although Ruben is amazing. He knows I'm a big fan. But it's every single member of that team. It's every business development officer. It's every single underwriter.
Ruben is an exceptional individual, human being, first and foremost. That really is a very caring individual. He's very civic-minded. The fact that he takes the extra time personally to advocate and seek out smaller business owners and prospective entrepreneurs, and that resonates throughout his entire team and staff.
Organizations such as AllCap are very vital to helping those small businesses stay alive and to stay vital. And so that is very critical for not only those persons that own the businesses, but for the lifeblood of our community.
You know, the work is not done. There's so much more need out there, and I think this region needs, you know, more resources to support the small businesses that, again, are just not able to access that traditional capital. The recognition is very much appreciated, and you know, to my team at AllCap, very much deserved. They've worked so hard the last year, and to do everything that we've tried to do to support our local economy and small businesses.
And now we'll hear more about how, through MARC, the region works to build a safe, balanced, and equitable transportation system.
One of our key regional goals is to create an efficient transportation network that connects people, places, and goods. We need a strong system that works for everyone to build a great region. And we have a transportation plan that does just that. Connected KC 2050 lays the groundwork for a flexible system that is ready to incorporate new technologies in transportation. And we're investing in that plan. The Total Transportation Policy Committee led the distribution of $66 million to projects throughout the region, using the Connected KC 2050 goals and strategies to guide them. As many people work from home over the past year, commuting in the region changed dramatically, and Rideshare KC adapted. The program collaborated with transit and business partners to develop a guide that helps people safely navigate changes to their commutes. The Operation Greenlight program tracked changes in traffic patterns and adapted the timing of signals accordingly to keep traffic moving. The Heartland Freight Technology Plan created a blueprint for action to address economic and industrial connections critical to freight flow across a 5-state area. And Destination Safe worked to reduce roadway injuries and fatalities and make our streets safer. And Planning Sustainable Places celebrated its 9th year, promoting the creation of vibrant, connected, and green places. Even in the pandemic, the region has moved forward to strengthen our transportation system for now and in the future.
Next up, we are thrilled to welcome Glenn North, a prominent local artist who will share a powerful and original piece of spoken word poetry. Glenn is the executive director of the Bruce R. Watkins Cultural Heritage Center and the poet laureate of the 18th and Vine Historic Jazz District.
Hello, my name is Glenn North, and I'd like to share a poem with you called A Gathering at the River, written specifically for this occasion. A gathering at the river. We aim to the stars through difficulties, for the good of the people must be the supreme law, the combined mottos of Kansas and Missouri. Something mythical happens at the confluence of rivers. If you listen closely, you can hear their ancient whispers, a wisdom that precedes civilization. Something about the importance of communion, the need for connection that binds us one to another. We honor the land these rivers flow through. We honor the Missouri, the Kansas, the Osage, the Sioux, the Kaw, and all other tribal nations who were its original caretakers. We know there is blood in this soil, so we commit to learning the lessons the Civil War still yearns to teach us. We tune our ears to the frequency of jazz and fill our bellies with the best barbecue this country has to offer. So we have learned to push past the pessimism permeating politics in pursuit of solutions. We employ an altruistic alchemy that combines the brightest minds to design, to formulate, innovate, and advocate actions that amplify and fortify our respective communities. We recognize problems and defeat them. We recognize needs and we meet them. We connect communities with efficient modes of transportation and build quality spaces as destinations. We develop a healthy environment with fresh water and clean air so that our children's children will know that we cared. We create booming economies that bust at the seams so that every person can invest in their dreams. We believe in the effectiveness of local government, which is far beyond feeble. It is through our combined efforts that we best serve the people. We seek to thwart acts of terror, face national disasters, and even through pandemics we endure to keep our communities safe and secure. We are guided by the wisdom and lived experience of those who are getting on in years, so we proudly support them as they persevere. We know we must nurture the little ones too, and by providing them with quality early learning, that is exactly what we do. We are not perfect, but we strive to live by the beliefs we uphold. And with these core values, our vision unfolds: integrity, innovation, collaboration, diversity and inclusion, excellence in performance, and service leadership. Armed with these ideals, we are fully equipped to transform our region from show me to sunflower, from season to season. We honor the individual leaders and dedicated organizations who are courageously generous and remarkably bold as they continue to help us achieve our goals. Together, we are better is profoundly true. Together, there is nothing that we cannot do. Stare down tornadoes, swim through floods, clap back at thunder in droughts with our blood. So let us gather at the river where the Kansas and Missouri meet, never having learned the meaning of defeat.
Thank you, Glenn. That was incredible. We appreciate you sharing your talents and your perspective with us.
Our next Regional Leadership Award recipients are Dr. Rodney Smith and Stephen E. Smith, who have demonstrated extraordinary and effective leadership in advancing the goals of diversity, equity, and inclusion. They've supported countless organizations and broad community conversations to foster understanding and to equip us as a region to act on this important goal. As you will hear, they believe everyone has a role to play when it comes to achieving equity.
We know and have known for quite some time that we've had fissures along racial divides, and those things were made even more stark during the pandemic, and everybody and all the protests that were happening, all the events that were taking place around the country. It is high time that we had those types of conversations. That work is exceptionally important in this day and age, because if we do not have those conversations, then we will simply continue to repeat the mistakes that we've made in the past.
I think there's much more awareness of the need for everyone to be more educated about not just the history in our community, but what's happening now, what's still happening that is causing people of color to be unable to access the opportunities that everyone should access. And the Smiths are a big part of helping that happen here in the Kansas City region.
So I will say that personally, I learned from Stephanie and Dr. Rodney in terms of definition and language. So we've heard of DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. They brought to this conversation and belonging, DEI and B. And that belonging was an aha for me, that we have heard of diversity, equity, inclusion for a long time, but not necessarily how that influences the belonging that we all need to have in our workplace, in our home environment. And belonging is important. We all want to belong. And they really helped me identify that belonging is something that we need to strive to do a better job at.
Both of them approach this work differently, which I think is really helpful because you cast a much broader net to do that. Combined, they have a good historical understanding, a current understanding, and also the imagination that we can move beyond the current constructs that we're in, which I think is really kind of the crux of it, that we're operating out of a space of like, we believe that we can actually affect change in this area.
I think of being engaging, inclusive, learning, and then I think it's a genuine belief of what's possible. I think that's the challenge. A lot of us enter this work, but we don't usually really believe that we can get to the other side. But when I talk to them, I mean, they believe that Kansas City can be the best place for all people, whether that's to work, to go to school, to live, work, and play. I think they genuinely believe that, and I think that's important for any leaders in this space.
The reason why we engaged Stephanie and Rodney, because we want to develop a leadership team at Garney that better reflects the world and better reflects our workforce. And Stephanie has helped us greatly understand that better and help us start to develop, a framework and a culture where we can do much better.
Rodney and Stephanie are at their very best when they're teaching. Almost after every conversation, I think to myself, I've learned something new after that experience and engaging with them. They're just tremendous teachers. They think like educators, they are educators, and their forethought is always about students and how they can help students and our younger generations evolve in the work of diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Their true skill is, frankly, in being good people and showing people that they're good people. They're not here to harm, they're here to help. And when you can do that quickly in an audience of people that you've never met, then that shows that you have spent a lot of time focusing on how do we impart this important knowledge to people who are not always in the best places to receive it, but are at least there. How do we turn the doubters into believers? How do we turn the believers into apostles? And they do a very good job of apostolatizing people.
Suffolk Solutions is a change management firm. We help organizations navigate change through an equity lens.
And so our approach is, communal. It is collective.
Yeah, we've had a really great privilege. This has been really great work, and it doesn't happen alone.
No.
It happens in building upon and standing on the shoulders of those who have really been championing this work.
And they say not only dream big, but your dreams should be a bit unrealistic. And so my big dream is to see racism diminish in my lifetime. That's my goal. That's my unrealistic, big, scary, hairy, audacious goal to see racism done away with.
I like that and I believe in that.
Yeah.
And I think for me, it is that this work is work. It's not magical. It doesn't just happen because we wish for it to happen. It takes our effort. It takes our discovery of self. It takes our intentionality. And so I want us to all be prepared for that. That this is not just a destination. It's not where we're going. It is who we are. Therefore, when we move to collective impact, we recognize that equity is a rising tide that lifts all boats. Because we are interconnected.
Yes.
And so when we have a regional language, when we have a regional perspective, then we will then really move towards regional impact. And that's what's really exciting.
Next, we'll hear about how, in partnership with many organizations across the region, MARC works to strengthen the support systems for our region's most vulnerable residents.
The region comes together through MARC to help older adults thrive and stay in their communities as they age. The Communities for All Ages program supports and recognizes communities that have taken steps to become more welcoming to residents of all ages, and in the process, more vibrant and healthy and prosperous. In Missouri, MARC is a hub for area agencies on aging. This means we provide education and support programs for older adults living with chronic diseases. Nutrition is also a big focus of our work. The Double Up Food Buck program is helping more families across Missouri and Kansas eat healthier diets. Thanks to recent investments and support, we're adding new grocery stores and farmers markets throughout the region and the state of Kansas. And we continue to address homelessness in the region with an online resource that connects individuals in need with community services. In 2020, we adopted an effort to respond to unprecedented circumstances. With help from our partners, we reloaded existing programs to better meet community needs. This included increasing the number of home-delivered meals for older adults and people with disabilities. We also focus on offering supportive isolation services for those impacted by COVID-19. And we worked with EMS partners to offer vaccination support for vulnerable residents. We also used a new integrated care model to improve health outcomes for older adults and cost efficiencies for service providers. Lastly, we grew a program to support veterans, giving them options and choices about their health care and who provides it. These achievements were possible because the region came together through MARC to ensure everyone in our community can thrive.
Your work through MARC helps build a robust early learning system for our region. Let's learn more about all we've accomplished in the past year.
We remain committed to ensuring every child in our region has the best opportunity to succeed in school and life. The region's early learning programs focus on building systems and supporting agencies that provide services to at-risk children and families. We support comprehensive initiatives that further school readiness in the areas of education, health, nutrition, and social development, all while encouraging meaningful family engagement. In partnership with the local investment commission, we support the EduCare program, which offers training and resources to family child care providers. Thanks to a grant from the Kauffman Foundation, we were able to expand EduCare workshops this past year. We partner with Swope Health Services to provide telehealth visits and on-site medical and dental services through its mobile medical unit. And we recently launched a new public-facing website that connects families in Clay, Jackson, and Platte counties to MARC Head Start resources and programs that now serve some 2,400 children and families. The pandemic has been hard on everyone, but most of all, our region's young people. We sincerely thank all our early learning partners across the region who continued to serve children and families throughout this past year. We commend you for your flexibility, perseverance, and creativity. Thank you again for your dedication to ensure every child has the best opportunity to succeed.
Now let's hear about how MARC helps cities and counties work more effectively by providing high-quality training, technical assistance, and a focus on collaborative efforts.
Strengthening local government capacity across the region is a top priority. This has never been more evident than during the past year, and will be in coming years, as many are sure to face budget challenges. The First Suburbs Coalition continues to work with local cities to address the region's needs for safe, affordable, and quality housing. Their work on a new Universal Design Resource Guide will help builders and local governments meet the needs of residents as they age in place. The Government to University Initiative continues to bring together representatives from local governments and colleges and universities to build a strong public sector workforce for the future. This past year, we hosted the first G2U Regional Conference. We worked with national partners to provide training to federal employees on how to effectively use data to inform decision-making. And G2U produced the Public Sector Talent to Industry Exchange, a report that uses data and focus groups to figure out how to address hiring gaps in our region for local, state, and federal jobs. Due to the pandemic, MARC's Government Training Institute pivoted to offer training, consulting, and professional development programs to public employees through virtual platforms. And cities and counties are working together to mitigate cybersecurity threats and save money by participating in regional purchasing contracts. New professional development training focuses on current issues such as change management and diversity, equity, and inclusion. And by working with local governments and high schools, we will grow the Regional Career Expo to foster interest in public sector careers among young people and build a talent pipeline for the 21st century. Local governments responded in new ways in 2020, and we will continue to support their critical work.
And now we'll learn about how, together, we are developing policies and projects that keep our region's environment healthy.
One of our key goals is conserving and restoring a healthy environment. Elected leaders and community stakeholders across the region come together through MARC to develop policies and processes that support our environment. We incorporate green infrastructure and stormwater management into our planning and projects. We also offer trainings for local governments and stakeholders to better link natural resource management with public health and social equity. Composting, land stewardship, and food security are also key areas of focus. This work also responded to the pandemic. MARC is comparing air quality data during COVID-19 to prior years to understand the impact of reduced driving due to stay-at-home orders. Climate change was also in the spotlight. This past year, MARC partnered with K-State University to figure out how the transportation system might be affected by climate change. And we recommended practical climate mitigation and adaptation strategies in the Long-Range Transportation Plan. Building on momentum created in 2019 by the Climate Action KC Coalition, regional partners supported efforts to implement recommendations in the Climate Action Playbook. In partnership with others, we finalized two key elements of the region's new Climate Action Plan: the Climate Risk and Vulnerability Assessment and a regional greenhouse gas inventory. Thanks to support from partners across the region, these efforts will help us care for the place we call home.
A coalition at the heart of the region's response to climate change is the recipient of our 4th Regional Leadership Award. Climate Action KC brings together elected officials, organizations, and community leaders to reduce emissions and improve the quality of life across the Kansas City region.
Climate change is here. We see it in our harsh winters, we see it in the increasingly hot summers that we are experiencing here in the Kansas City region. It's not something that we can wait to address.
You know, we sit right in the middle of one of the most important watersheds in the world, one of the most important agricultural centers in the world, one of the most important flyways in the world. Because of where we are, we have greater responsibilities for our actions.
Climate Action KC is a collaboration of elected officials, nonprofit organizations, citizens, and other agencies that share a common goal to reach net zero emissions by the year 2050.
Climate Action KC has really, I would say, sparked and invested in that spark by bringing electeds, by bringing community members and stakeholders from all around the region together to really focus on the public health impacts, the community impacts, the economic impacts, and everything that goes into addressing climate change.
The group immediately recognized that air and water and pollution don't understand municipal boundaries, don't understand a lot of issues, but instead are going to go where they want to go.
It's all important to work as a region and be involved. We share waterways, we share air, we share, if pollution and the wind's blowing north, it's coming to us.
I have had a mindset of 1KC for so long that in my view, we have to be looking at this as a holistic, not just a holistic issue, but a holistic set of solutions and approaches.
The jewel in the crown for Climate Action KC is the Climate Action Plan, looking at how climate change will particularly impact the Kansas City region.
All those different items that we look at, and you can really just go through and have a punch list of things you can implement in your city or county or state government, or even in your household.
There's simple things, there's hard things, but there's something in there for everybody to be able to make an impact.
Really, in our role is to center equity in the climate work that we're doing across the region. People who look like me and vulnerable populations that will experience climate change very differently and maybe even extreme at times, that they have a seat at the table and that they're present in conversations. It's just really amazing to see all these different voices that are at this table that have an interest in climate change and wanting to, prepare our region for what's to come.
I think in all cases, there's always things that people want to see done, but somebody has to step up and do them. And I think that Mike and Lindsay have certainly been the people to do that. And they, not only talk the talk, but they walk the walk.
If Mike and Lindsay can really continue to provide the leadership, which I'm confident they will, and the rest of the metropolitan area will follow, and we really act out these ideas, I think Kansas City, the metropolitan area, will actually be not just a leader that's recognized, a leader that has an impact.
Thank you to Climate Action KC. All the work that you have been doing is making our community better for future generations, and that is so important.
We often say Climate Action KC is climate action from the heart of America. We're right here in the middle of the country.
Do you want to give the quote?
Yeah. Gosh.
Do you remember it?
No, do it.
Whatever is to come to pass in America must first come to pass in the heart of America.
There you go. So I think that's what's really exciting, is that this is acknowledging the work of everyone in this region who is committed to making our region stronger and more resilient. So I think it recognizes that, and I also think it says this is the starting point. We have the Climate Action Plan. Here we are together at the starting point. We share the vision, we share the impetus for action, the motivation, and now let's go. Let's work together and go.
So many of the good things that we want to do are things that we need to do. And so they do have an impact on the emissions, but also have a net positive impact on the economy. They have a proven marketable return on investment, but also improve the quality of life, the public health, and give a little peace of mind.
This award recognizes everyone who has been involved, the volunteers of Climate Action KC, the elected leaders, business leaders, other nonprofit organizations, and really the work that's been done for decades in this region. So we're just incredibly thankful for the number of people that have been involved both with Climate Action KC and other efforts throughout the Metro to make Metro Kansas City more climate resilient.
Congratulations again to all of our award recipients. You inspire us through your hard work, through your ingenuity, and through your dedication to the region's success. And as we wrap up, I want to say thank you to everyone for being here today. We encourage you to stick around after the program to congratulate the award winners live in the virtual exhibit hall and connect with one another if you haven't done so already.
And thank you for everything all of you do for this region. Throughout 2020, we proved that working together is powerful. I hope you share a sense of pride in what we've achieved together, optimism about the future of the Kansas City region, and confidence in our ability to respond to do great things. We hope to see you again soon, maybe even in person. Thank you and take care.